Hey everyone, what's up? It's Nicky P, and I'm here to talk to you about my new cash game course I'm releasing for Upswing, Smash Live Cash. It's a course that's focused on playing live cash games, focused on building strategies that help us make extra money versus our opponents in a variety of different setups in live cash games. Everything is based on 8 max play. I've got everything from 100 to 400 BB preflop strats, a lot of postflop theory videos based on how to exploit your opponents in live cash games. And basically, the purpose of this course is to help you improve in a lot of the different areas that I see huge mistakes happening all the time. If you ask me, the 5 biggest mistakes I see consistently is flatting around and being too passive pre-flop. People just playing way too wide versus opens, not being tight and aggressive enough, especially in no ante games, especially in straddle games from the blinds. People are just flatting too often, not picking off sloppy pre-flop play. In my opinion, the sloppy play in live cash games is contagious. Even good players can fall into the trap of playing like everybody else and just start overcalling really sloppy ranges, not being tight aggressive enough. And that leads us to number 2, which is the big adjustment here to make extra money in these games is just to be a really aggressive, building really aggressive squeezing ranges, taking advantage of all of this dead money pre-flop and picking off these weak spots, which again, I don't think people do it often enough. And that's something I focused on when I was building preflop here and focus on in the preflop videos is just really emphasizing the importance of those squeezing ranges. In terms of post-flop play, I do notice when I play live cash at a variety of different depths, especially the deeper you get, players tend to play every spot too polar, meaning if they have top pair and they've defended, they like to go down the check call line. It's very comfortable. They don't like to check raise and get in a little bit of extra money and then, play a little bit trickier pots on turns and rivers. They keep it simple and they're costing them their range money by playing such a simple strategy and not having this dynamic strategy where we check raise really linear ranges. So I focus a lot on building more dynamic post flop strategies that are harder to play against and help you get more money in the pot, both with your value and with your bluffs in good spots where people overfold. Another area I think people tend to be very weak, and that happens a lot because of the sloppy pre-flop play in live games, is multi-way pots. So I have an extensive multi-way pot section where I, go through a few different types of boards and spots and help you understand multi-way theory and what we should actually put in play in terms of building strategies versus humans in these spots. There's a lot of my multi-way concepts and multi-way theory brought forward in this course that I think will really help people shore up some of those weaknesses where they're putting in too much money multi-way with certain hand classes or not understanding strategies, how to play from the blinds multi-way versus 2 players in position, not understanding flop mechanics, etc. And the last thing is just not adjusting to stack depths changing. Live cash, you can buy in for 200 BBs and then all of a sudden you've doubled up twice. Now you're playing 400 or 800 BBs sometimes. Some crazy deep stack poker. And you don't want to be the guy that gets scared and tightens up when you get really deep with other players at the table. You want to be excited for that opportunity to start playing really deep and understand that this is a spot where you can practice and get really good at these deep stack concepts and even make extra money playing deep versus your opponents when maybe they're not as well adjusted to playing super deep. So that's what you can expect in this course. Let's walk through and show you what I've actually got for you. Now, when you buy the course, you'll have this homepage on Upswing Poker. We've got your 6 modules here. Intro, of course, this is just going to be my cash game background. I'm going to help you. If you click on here, the videos are going to pop up. I'm going to introduce the solvers that I'm going to use in this course. And then I'm going to introduce one of the main functionalities of the solver that I use, which is node locking, meaning basically just editing strategies to help us build different strategies to play against the different opponents that we face in live cash. So, facing people that underbluff, overbluff, I go in and show you how to change some strategies in the solver to help us figure out how we should be responding to different players. Now, preflop is a huge part of the course here. I explain some important preflop concepts in this section. I go over our charts, which I'll show you in a second. And then, like I said, squeezing, different stack depth adjustments and adjusting in straddle games. And that's kind of just a few videos to help you understand what is the bulk of the pre-flop section, which is right here under Smash Live Cash Extras. We've got some member tips. We've got some terminology that we won't go over right now. There's a Facebook group that Brad Owen and I will pop in and answer questions from time to time, and you guys can discuss different strategies that you find in the course as a community. And then this is really the bulk of the value of the pre-flop section is we've got rake and no rake master sheets here. So when you open up your pre-flop section, you've got charts for no ante, ante, straddle plus no ante, and straddle plus ante at 100 BB, 200 BB, and 400 BB. Every time you look at one of these charts here, you just pop up the range. So over here, we've got the actual node that we're going to look at. We've got open raise, BB defense, blind versus blind, how you play versus an open, how you play versus an open with the ante, your squeezing ranges when you face an open and a call. And these are for every different setup. So then when you choose a node that you want to see, so say, you want to know what you're going to open 100 BBs early position, you just pop that range right up and it shows you. And there's a legend with all your different sizes color coded here. So you've got every spot in the game here pretty much in these charts. It's almost 5,000 charts. I spent a ton of time building these. These charts were built in Munker Solver, which is obviously one of the ways we build multi-way, one of the popular ways that we build multi-way preflop. So these are all 8 max and it has every setup, right? So then for even more charts, you can see down here, how do I get more charts? We've got downloadable extensions that are Excel master sheets with the same functionality. You just pop up different charts. And you've got squeeze versus 2 callers for all the different straddle games and stuff. So these are 4-way pots now. So you're really going to have, especially in live cash, when you do go 4 ways all the time, you're going to have everything you need here in terms of getting your pre-flop game really, really sharp. And again, we've got no rake. We've got the same thing for rake here. If we pop up again, and you'll just have the same charts with rake and no rake. So that's the pre-flop section, which is really, really going to help you guys in every different format that you're playing. Now for post-flop, I made a ton of theory-based videos that are also focused on different exploits we find versus different player profiles with the node locking. So, we've got a single raise pot section, and every one of these sections basically covers, if it says, we're talking about turn barreling strategies in position, the video will be comprehensive and talk about both sides of the hand. I basically just did a bunch of deep theory work here, also with an emphasis on how to adjust versus humans. So all of the different categories, that is what the video is focused on, but each video is comprehensive in terms of covering a lot of different concepts in one spot. Now we've got 3-bet pots, and in here we've got some squeeze pots as well. Again, just kind of a bunch of different videos focused on a lot of different concepts packed in at once. So these videos are really dense. These sections in general are really dense, and there's a lot of info for both the in-position and out-of-position player. And then we've got a selection of multi-way pot spots where I talk about multi-way theory, go over some hands I've played, talk about some different concepts in terms of bet sizing and different board textures. So if you just popped up, one of these hands, this is where I use simple 3-way as my solver and introduce a bunch of different concepts here. You can see I've got simple up, talking about multi-way concepts there. So that's what you can expect in the multi-way section, is a lot of work with simple 3-way. Now, after the post-flop section, we've got what is, similar to a play and explain section, except it's my coaching with Brad Owen. So Brad and I did a lot of coaching over the past year or so. We went over a lot of his hands from his vlog. Brad started with having used very little pre-flop charts, having used very little solver-based study. So I introduced Brad to the solvers and to proper pre-flop play, while also trying to understand his approach to the game and all of his good intuition and just general live cash game sort of exploitative approach. So we worked together to kind of shape his game while keeping it intact in terms of letting him have his, feel play and intuition, but also kind of shoring up some of those technical leaks that he had, which is kind of going to be the same process for you guys. So I think this section's pretty cool because it's a lot of hand history review. It's basically like studying with one of your buddies, or, it's an example of what it's like to have coaching sessions with me one-on-one. And it's Brad, right? So a lot of the content's pretty cool, and there's a lot of hand review in there. And then from there, we've got classic sort of play and explain, where I just go over a bunch of different hands from streams and pull up some different concepts that, of course, when we're going over solver in the post-flop section, a lot of the stuff is based on equilibrium play, and then we're sort of changing things around based on how humans play. But in these streams and over in these live hand history reviews, of course, a bunch of different things happen that are already way off script. So it's interesting to go and review hands from that perspective as well. And then lastly, in the going forward section here, I just teach you how to build your own stuff, use the solver the way that I do in order to train. So I'm teaching you how to build scripts, how to save them, put them into aggregated reports so you can start studying your strategies, how to take those and put it into PO Solver so that you can train against the robot in PO Solver, your own GTO trainer. And that's kind of just like to help you moving forward, be able to work on your own game and build kind of your own stuff. So you don't need me anymore to hold your hand through this process. You can sort of learn how to build it and work on your own. So I think that for everybody involved, including myself, this was an awesome project. It's not your typical working through post-flop methodically from spot to spot. It's more of a lot of different in-depth videos based on what I think is important and concepts and mechanics, and really just kind of drilling home how we want to approach different spots in live cash games. So if you want to improve your live cash game strategies, I think this is going to be a huge help, and hope you get in there and enjoy the content.